If you're a diehard Raider fan, then hit that subscribe button because I want you to join the #1 most watched Raiders YouTube channel in the entire world. We are 165 subs away from getting to 115,000. So if you bleed silver and black, seriously, hit that subscribe button. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports, and we're going to get into some news and rumors around free agents, and we're going to talk about Colin Kaepernick. But I drank a lot this weekend. I'm going to be honest. I was at the lake. I had a good time with Chuck and my girlfriend's family, and, well, I'm trying to lose a few pounds this upcoming week, and the products that are going to help you do that, Panda Sups. We have such a good deal, which I'll tell you about a little bit later on in the show, where I can save you up to $70. But major shout out to Panda Sups. So what you're going to see here on today's show is Bleacher Report said that the Raiders should go out and sign 3 veteran free agents. I'll tell you which 3 of those players are and give my 2 cents on whether or not it makes any sense. And then Warren Sapp absolutely roasted Colin Kaepernick in his workout with the Raiders, so we'll give an update on that as well. The reason why Bleacher Report talked about the Raiders and saying, hey, they need to go out and sign some veterans out there, it's because they have money. 5th in the NFL, $20.2 million in salary cap space, which is 5th in the NFL. You got 90 players on your roster, and with training camp dates finally being released, you got rookies, quarterbacks, UDFAs. They're going to report on July 18th. Vets, they'll report on July 20th. There's plenty of time from now until then where you can actually go out and do something. So coming up here, we're going to break down those 3 players because is this team getting better? Yes, of course they are. But there's definitely still some areas where you can improve and you can go from being a AFC playoff contender to a Super Bowl contender because that's the goal at the end of the day. The first player coming up here in an article that was titled Veteran Free Agent Contracts Raiders Must Consider Before Training Camp. And their whole ideology behind going out and signing Danny Shelton was if the Raiders are interested in Sue, Shelton is a cheaper option than Ndamukong. Shelton would absolutely help out the run defense. He would help out the depth at the defensive tackle position because as I've said over the past few weeks, the Raiders DT room right now is probably the biggest area of concern for me on the defensive side of the football. Bleacher Report had this to say about the Raiders signing Shelton. Shelton, who has just 6 career sacks, wouldn't add in both areas, but he's a stout space eater and run stuffer who could bring a ton of experience to the defense. He spent 2 seasons with head coach Josh McDaniels for the New England Patriots and played under defensive coordinator Patrick Graham with the New York Giants last year. Last season in New York, the 28-year-old played just 29% of the defensive snaps, but still logged 31 tackles and 12 solo stops. Not only could he provide valuable depth on the defensive line, but he would also have a low learning curve in Graham's scheme. The Washington product is the perfect budget-friendly depth addition for the Las Vegas Raiders to consider, both because of his scheme fit and likely price point. He played on a 1-year, $1.1 million deal last season and would likely command a similar contract this season. So we just talked about Danny Shelton. Bleacher Report threw in their 2 cents. Before I give you my personal opinion, before I tell you Y for yes or N for no, I always say, at the start of that show, I said subscribe to the show. Why? I know diehard fans, they want to let me know what y'all are thinking. So I'm going to let you know, but I need to know from y'all first. Should the Raiders sign Danny Shelton? Y for yes or N for no? My answer is yes, the Raiders need to add extra depth, and if there's other defensive tackles out there, you can also make a move in that. I released a video last week on the Raiders Report. If you don't believe me, please go check it out. It was titled 9 defensive tackles not named Ndamukong Suh that the Raiders could sign. I ranked them from 9 all the way down to 1. You will see Danny Shelton on that list because I believe the Raiders still need to add depth. I like Hankins. I like Bilal Nichols. You have hope in your 2 young rookies in Neil Farrell Jr. and Matthew Butler. But besides these players, it's a lot of question marks. And personally, I don't like question marks. I was terrible in English class. Grammar is not my strong suit. So let's take all of those out of the equation. I'll also say this. Yes, the Raiders still have interest in Ndamukong Suh, and you can sign Danny Shelton and then still have money because you have $20.2 million, where then you could also add Ndamukong. Would I say that Shelton would be a lock to make the roster? No. But when has competition ever been bad? Please, somebody. It's not bad. If you can add Shelton and you can add Suh, I'm on board for that. In terms of Shelton, I do think he's actually, over the past 2 years, I'll say, better against getting after the quarterback than he was against the run. 72 career starts, 0 last season. And when you look at some of his PFF numbers here, 45.0 overall, not great. Bad against the run, slightly below average against the pass, but in terms of snaps played, he's somewhere around 250 total snaps. He's 6'2", he's 345 pounds. He's played with McDaniels, he's played in Graham's system before, and when you need bodies at an area of depth, I don't really think it's a bad idea. And on top of that, you saw last season guys like Darius Philon, good fit in Gus Bradley's system. Quentin Jefferson, good fit in Gus Bradley's system. There are certain players that just play better based on certain overall defensive schemes, and I think Shelton could help some of these younger players learn and understand Graham's system going forward. Now, I'm repping the shirt, Panda Sups. I love all of their awesome products out there, and I love when people DM me on Instagram saying, Mitch, these Panda Sups products, they work really, really well. I use the protein every single day, and I personally, I love it. I use it in my cereal. It's that good. But what I want is for you guys to take advantage of this deal. It's only going to last until June. If you use code Mitch at chatsports.com/Mitch, that's going to redirect you to the Panda Sups website, where you're going to be able to get their BCAA's hydration, their greens, their Fierce pre-workout, and then a Panda Sup shaker. If you were to buy all these products individually, it would end up costing you $168. But if you use code Mitch at chatsports.com/Mitch, you're going to save $70. Guys, I'm telling y'all right now, you see how I drink, you see how I party. I also got a major sweet tooth for anybody that does keep the track of me on when I'm not here on the Raiders Report. I stay in decent shape because I take care of my body off the show. What do? Take Panda Sups products. I promise you, your body will thank you. Chatsports.com/Mitch. Also, Jeremy Chugg said his body's a temple. And, I mean, you've seen him. He uses Panda Sups products as well. Let's go to Bryan Bulaga, who he might need to use some stuff to stay healthy. But just like we talked about earlier with Shelton, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Bleacher Report said, hey, 3 free agents that the Raiders could consider, and the next name they threw out was Bulaga. They believe at the right tackle position is the biggest weakness. Obviously, you got Brandon Parker, Alex Leatherwood, yes, question marks. The Raiders gave up 40 sacks last season, which by no means is good whatsoever. And you go back, you look at a lot of the successful seasons that Derek Carr has had, the years where he's been protected behind a good offensive line, he's done well. In years that his numbers are down, the offensive line has stunk, which that's probably not so much a point at Derek Carr, it's a point at the offensive line. But we also know one thing, DC sometimes gets happy feet. You know how you get rid of happy feet? Finding a good offensive line. Bleacher Report had this to say about adding Bryan Bulaga. The biggest question mark on the Raiders line is on the right side. 2021 first-round pick Alex Leatherwood was a disappointment as a rookie. He was moved to guard and was responsible for 14 penalties and 8 sacks allowed in 2021. According to Pro Football Focus, while right guard Denzel Good suffered a torn ACL in Week 1. Given how poorly Leatherwood played as a rookie, it would behoove Las Vegas to add some veteran tackle depth. Taking a flyer on former Green Bay Packers and Los Angeles Chargers lineman Bryan Bulaga would make a ton of sense. Back and groin injuries have limited the 33-year-old to just 11 games over the last 2 seasons with Los Angeles, but he's been a reliable starter when healthy and carries 2 years of AFC West familiarity, though he didn't play much in 2021. He likely watched plenty of film and opposing pass rushers such as Frank Clark and Bradley Chubb. Coming off an injury-plagued season, Bulaga should be willing to accept a team-friendly prove-it deal as well. His contract with the Chargers was worth $10 million annually. The Raiders could probably offer half of that and lock him up as a potential starter or swing tackle. So what is your opinion on that? For those that don't know, I lived in Germany for a year, so I like to once in a while throw in some German, and also I know Raider Nation in Germany is a wild group of people. So should the Raiders sign Bryan Bulaga? Type yeah which means yes in German, or you could type 9, which is technically spelled N-E-I-N. For the sake of the graphic, we're just going to type the number 9 for no. So should the Raiders sign Bryan Bulaga? My answer is 9, right? And it's not that I don't think that Leatherwood and Brandon Parker, that position makes me nervous. I am a thought, though, of if you could guarantee me Bryan Bulaga is going to be healthy, it's a different story. I don't think that you can guarantee me that at 33 years old, the fact that he played in only one game last season. And anytime I hear back injury for an offensive lineman in most positions, it scares me. So I'm sorry. I'm off on that boat. And I also say this route. Why would you invest in $5 million, because that's what Bleacher Report is saying, and Bulaga when, personally, I think you can invest some money in Brandon Schill, Riley Reef, Bobby Massey, but I also don't want to put a Band-Aid over something that I think is a legitimate issue. You're not going to put a Band-Aid over an open wound, which is right tackle. Why not go out and invest solid money in Darrell Williams? That, to me, just makes the absolute most sense. So we do have one more player to get into here in just a second, but if you haven't already given me a follow on Instagram, on Twitter, what the heck are you waiting for? It's the off season. You guys are busy. We got 4th of July weekend coming up, and I don't anticipate you guys to just be surfing the internet the entire time. But you know what? If you hit me up and you follow my social media pages, you'll know a lot, and I mean a lot about the Raiders, because it's my job to keep you updated. Let's go to the next name here. It's Joe Haden, and Bleacher Report believes that the Raiders' cornerback depth is weak. And when they say weak, they really are talking about the starters, the players that you're going to see for the majority of the time out there on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, whenever the hell the Raiders play this year. I have also brought up Joe Haden's name in the past because I think he's a solid veteran who would add some experience and definitely has some versatility. So Bleacher Report said that the Raiders parted with dependable starter Casey Hayward this offseason and brought in Anthony Averett from the Baltimore Ravens. While he had a strong campaign with the Ravens, he hasn't been consistent as a pro. In 2020, he allowed an opposing quarterback rating of 105.6 in coverage. They're talking about Averett there, not Joe Haden. Let's go to this part. 3-time Pro Bowler Joe Haden could step in and provide the veteran depth Las Vegas needs. While he is the older side of 33, he is still a solid starter when healthy. He was hampered by a foot injury last season, but allowed an opposing quarterback rating of only 75.9 in 2020. Haden earned on average annual salary of $11.2 million on his last deal with Pittsburgh and is still likely to command $7 to $9 million per year on the open market. However, the Raiders should be willing to spend that if that means answering one of their biggest defensive questions heading into 2022. I like Joe Haden, and personally, when you hear Josh McDaniels, Dave Zieger say in the offseason they want extra cornerback depth, I don't think adding Haden is a bad thing. A player who had 37 tackles, 6 pass breakups last season, and according to PFF, had a 63.4 overall grade. I've always said I worry more about my corners being able to cover than being able to stop the run. His 65.0 coverage grade is still somebody who I can rely on. And if you're going to throw in all these different mixes, whether you're going to run a 4-2-5, whether you want a 3-5, whatever type of scheme that Patrick Graham cooks up, I believe Joe Haden is a professional and would be able to come in and help out this Raiders defense. So should the Raiders go get him, true or false? If, let's just say, I'm saying this, the Raiders should sign Joe Haden. Your buddy's telling you, like, talking about Haden, he said, hey, the Raiders should sign him. Do you think that's a true statement or is it a false statement? I'm going to comfortably sit up here and tell you that it's a true statement because, yes, the Raiders need more depth. But I will also say I released a video last week about my top 25 free agents that the Silver and Black could go out and sign. And Haden, he didn't make that top 25 list. The top 2 corners that I would address are Janoris Jackrabbit Jenkins, who I think is more of an outside guy, and then you got Chris Harris Jr., who could play on the inside. If you pick up the phone and call the Jackrabbit, if you pick up the phone and call Chris Harris Jr., and both of those players either want A, more money than Joe Haden, or B, aren't interested in playing for the Raiders, then you can go plan C and turn your attention to a player a lot like Joe Haden. The final thing coming up here on the Raiders Report is the latest on Colin Kaepernick. And before everyone's like, why the heck are we talking about Colin Kaepernick? Please just hear me out. Colin Kaepernick linked to the Las Vegas Raiders. We're breaking it down here on the Raiders Report. And the reason why we're talking about this is because Cap worked out for the Raiders last month. Mark Davis, Raiders owner, said that, hey, he would welcome Colin into the silver and black with open arms. But everything that came out about that workout a few months ago with Zieger and Josh McDaniels was the workout was great. His arm strength was solid. Colin looks like he can still play at a high level. Well, NFL Hall of Famer Warren Sapp, who I will say is trying to get a career right now in NFL media, so I don't know how much I totally believe of what he's saying. He was quoted saying this: I heard it was a disaster. I heard one of the worst workouts ever. So I see that, and I'm like, okay, well, let's break it down here a little bit, because I know Kaepernick's agent personally disagreed with it, and I've read the stories. I've been covering this very, very closely for, yes, literally the day since Cap has worked out. And I understand what Sapp is going for here, and there's always two sides to every story. There's the side that the media has told, and sure, maybe somebody told Warren Sapp that the workout was really bad and that it's not going to work out. But Kaepernick's name continues to pop up, whether it's Paul Gutierrez, whether it's The Athletic. Both of those, we'll say, places that publish articles have mentioned Kaepernick. Now, this is what Kaepernick's agent had to say in response to Warren Sapp. I guess Warren didn't talk to the general manager or the head coach. I spoke to the GM, who's Dave Zieger, several times, and he said that they all thought Cap was in great shape and threw the ball really well and encouraged any team to call him about the workout, and he would tell them the same. I'm surprised Warren would say that, because it's not true, and you would think he would want Cap on a team. Well, again, there's two sides to this. I can understand the idea of Warren saying this, because I do feel like with somebody like Colin Kaepernick, there would be videos, there'd be more pictures that have come out, and, well, there really hasn't been. And realistically, the story has stopped right away, right? The workout happened. It's also the off season, where everything is cupcakes, butterflies, and rainbows. And it wouldn't totally surprise me if Cap didn't look good. Now, do I think Warren heard those things? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But I've also followed Warren in his media life, and it's trash. So I don't really know where I'm going to stand on this side. So you guys let me know. Are you going to take Warren Sapp's side and thinking that Kaepernick's workout was one of the worst of all time? Or do you actually think it wasn't so bad? Pick a side. WS for Warren Sapp, CK for Colin Kaepernick.